We have a huge Pac-12 showdown this Saturday as number 25 Washington takes on number 6 Oregon in Eugene. And guys, this game has everything you want and everything you need. First off, it's a rivalry game. Washington and Oregon, they hate each other, but the Ducks, of course, have dominated this rivalry series, winning 15 of the last 17 and have won the last 3 games. Oregon, though, guys, enters this game as the number 6 team in the country, still fighting for a spot in the college football playoff. If they win out, including a Pac-12 championship, it'd be very hard to not put them in that Final Four. Washington is not only looking to play spoiler against their heated rivals, not only looking to get a win in this series where they have barely won, they're looking to keep their slim Pac-12 title hopes alive. If they win this game, they're still in the hunt to make that Pac-12 championship game. 2 great offenses squaring off, a lot of history squaring off. The stakes couldn't be higher, and we're here to break down everything you need to know for the Huskies and the Ducks on Saturday. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're so glad you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. If you want the spread pick for this game, if you want even more analysis on this game, and you want guaranteed winnings, as we're hitting over 61% of our spread picks, over 81% of our money line picks. If you want winnings, big winnings, go to thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for that today, guys. The year-long subscription includes every single bowl game, every NFL game, and playoff game. We want you guys over there to become a part of our GE Nation. So let's take a look at this game in Eugene. And we said at the beginning, we said these are 2 great offenses. You might be asking yourself, what do you mean? How are they great offenses? Well, let's start with Washington, who has seen a resurgence offensively under their new head coach in Kalen DeBoer, averaging 38.6 points per game. Had a horrendous offense last year, now averaging nearly 40 points per game. They're averaging over 370 passing yards per game. That mark is actually the number 1 passing offense in the country. So yes, Michael Penix and Washington have the number 1 passing offense in the country. Penix has thrown for over 3,200 yards, 23 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions. And you love to see it. A guy who battled injuries time and time again during his time at Indiana moves out west to Washington with Kalen DeBoer, who was his offensive coordinator previously at Indiana, and he's having a lot of success. And he's having a lot of success with a lot of players out there. 9 players, guys, have at least 100 reception yards. So the Huskies doing a phenomenal job of sharing the ball, spreading it out. Penix is putting the team on his back, but he's got a lot of playmakers surrounding him that are contributing to these type of numbers. Again, who would have thought that Washington would have the number 1 passing offense in the country? It's not Tennessee, it's not Ohio State, it's Washington. How about Oregon, though? You talk about a resurgence. How about Bo Nix resurgence? A guy who was just kind of mediocre at Auburn, faced a lot of criticism at Auburn, has seen so much of a revival to his career now that he has moved on to Oregon with Kenny Dillingham, who was his offensive coordinator at Auburn when Bo Nix was named SEC Freshman of the Year. Then he kind of tanked a little bit. Now he's back. They're reunited, and you see the results. Bo Nix, over 2,400 yards, 22 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions. Also has over 450 rushing yards and 13 rushing touchdowns. So 35 total touchdowns for Bo Nix. And those numbers are impressive. What's even more impressive to me is the fact that he's completing 73.3% of his passes. So he's taking great care of the football. He's making great decisions, and it's just been a perfect relationship and a perfect fit with Dan Lanning and Kenny Dillingham and Bo Nix in Eugene. The Ducks guys are averaging over 289 passing yards per game. They're averaging over 230 rushing yards per game and 43.1 points per game as well. So talk about balance. Bo Nix is doing everything, guys, but they've got the playmakers around him as well that contribute to that rushing game. He's a major factor of that, but they have Bucky Irving, who has 688 yards, averaging 6.9 yards per carry. They've got Noah Whittington, over 500 yards, 6.2 yards per carry. And like Washington, Oregon has 9 players with at least 100 reception yards. So a lot of offensive talent for what has quickly become one of the best offenses in the country with Oregon. Now defense, guys. When you look at 2 great offenses, you say, how can you slow them down? Who can slow them down? What do you have to do to slow down Washington and Oregon? Well, for Washington, you take a look at their defense. It's been just mediocre this year. They're giving up 26.9 points per game. They're giving up over 235 passing yards per game. And the key is simple, guys, for both teams. Stop the other quarterback, right? Stop Bo Nix if you're Washington. You have to shut him down. The thing is, Washington could do it. Washington could do it. Washington's pass rush has been very, very good this year. 26 sacks already on the year for the Huskies. That's going to be the key, is getting after Bo Nix, pressuring him, forcing him into second and third and long situations, forcing him into bad decision-making. The problem is, if you're Washington, Bo Nix, you know how many times he's been sacked this year? One time. 26 sacks for Washington. Bo Nix has been sacked just once. The Oregon offensive line has done a phenomenal job protecting their quarterbacks. And you look at the numbers a little bit deeper, guys. You know, the passing defense for Washington has not been great. 315 passing yards allowed to UCLA, 241 to Arizona State, 400 passing yards allowed to Arizona, 245 to California. Again, some of those quarterbacks a little bit inferior to that of Bo Nix. I would say the likes of Plummer at California and regardless of what quarterback was going to be playing for Arizona State, Bo Nix is clearly better. Washington has to stop the pass if they want to have a chance to win this game. Oregon, when you're looking at them defensively, Dan Lanning's a defensive-minded coach. The reason he got the Oregon job was because he was an up-and-coming defensive star and was the leader of that number one ranked defense last year in Georgia and won the national championship. He was their defensive coordinator at the time. The problem is Oregon against the pass, it's been bad. You've got the number one passing defense or offense in the country in Washington going up against the 117th ranked passing defense. Oregon's allowing over 276 passing yards per game. They are not very good against the pass. And that's a bit of an area of concern as well. They did hold Arizona to 241 passing yards. Washington allowed 400. They held UCLA to 262 passing yards. Washington allowed 315. But then somehow Oregon gave up 328 to Cal when Washington only gave up 245. It's almost a 100-yard difference there. And pick your poison. Different scenarios, different players that play in the game, that missed the game, the weather, the location. Was the team so far ahead? The other team had to pass only and got some stat padding in there. Take it with a grain of salt as you will. But obviously both teams have struggled against the pass, and Oregon a little bit more so than Washington, despite the Ducks actually putting up 10 interceptions. Taking 10 takeaways through the air alone. So really, it's a matter of, in this game, shut down Michael Penix. Keep him in the pocket, force a couple turnovers, force him to make some bad decisions, and you're good to go. Because while Washington's run game has improved, and while Washington's run game is a compliment to Michael Penix and what Washington is doing offensively, I don't think the Huskies can win this game solely on the ground. I just don't see it happening. So if Oregon's passing game defense can have a really, really good game, maybe one of the best they've had this year, they're going to be just fine. And ultimately, guys, I do believe they're going to be just fine. It's very hard for me to not pick Oregon here. Arguably one of the hottest teams in the country. They have not lost since they lost to Georgia all the way back in the season opener. And this is a completely different team now than the Oregon team we saw back in week 1 when they got blown out against Georgia. 8 straight wins, playing as good as anybody in the country. They've got home field advantage on their side. Eugene is going to be rocking, not because of the stakes, but because of the rivalry game, because it's a big game. This is huge for Oregon, guys, and I just don't see any way that they drop this game. They have the better offense as a whole. To me, they have the better quarterback. They've got the better running backs. They've got the better wide receiver corps. They've significantly got the edge on the offensive line. I do believe the Huskies put up a fight. I am not doubting Kalen DeBoer and the Huskies. I think they're going to put up a solid fight, and this game will be close going into the second half. I think that's when Oregon turns on the Jets. That's when they pull away. Make it 16 of the last 18. 16 of the last 18 meetings Oregon will have won, and the Ducks keep their college football playoff hopes alive heading into another huge matchup next week against Utah, a Utah team that ended Oregon's playoff hopes a year ago. Will Oregon get their revenge, or will Utah repeat history? That is the question. But first, take care of the Huskies, and we believe the Ducks will do just that. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. Make sure you do not miss out on those guys. Guaranteed big-time winnings over there. We want you to become a part of our GE Nation. So what are you waiting for? Go check it out. The link right down there in the description. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.